Hello there. Do you teach upper-level adult ed English language learners? Do you need them to demonstrate measurable learning gains on the CASAS test? Are you unsure about how to prepare your students for the new CASAS test, CASAS Steps? Well, then you're in the right place, because in this video, you'll see how using Ventures 3rd edition is the best way to prepare your students for success on the CASAS Steps test. First, we'll look at STEPS. What is it, and what does it measure? What are the English language proficiency standards? What about the CASAS competencies and CASAS content areas and task areas? Then we'll look at how Ventures is aligned to STEPS. We'll see how Ventures teaches students all the skills required to meet the English language proficiency standards. How Ventures covers CASAS competencies in every single lesson, so students are familiar with topics like interpreting and completing job applications. And how Ventures prepares students for test day by modeling the kinds of content areas and task areas they'll encounter when they take the STEPS test. The CASAS Steps is the new CASAS test for adult education ESL students. STEPS isn't a life skills test, but a way to assess literacy and academic skills in the context of common adult situations. CASAS Steps will replace the CASAS Life and Work tests. What do you need to know? CASAS Steps has 5 levels. The increased number of levels is intended to make it easier to report your students' measurable learning gains. STEPS offers 2 types of tests, STEPS Listening and STEPS Reading, is available in both print and digital versions, is based on the English language proficiency standards, covers the CASAS competencies, and the CASAS content areas and task areas. This means that to prepare your students for STEPS, you'll need to be sure that your classroom material is aligned to the same standards. So, what are the English language proficiency standards? The English language proficiency standards for adult education, or ELP standards for short, have been designed to help adult ed ESL programs at all levels move from simply teaching life skills to promoting college and career readiness in line with the expectations laid out in WIOA. To help programs meet the goal of college and career readiness, the ELP standards spell out the linguistic support and the English language skills that adult ESL students need in order to achieve the more rigorous academic content standards required for college and career readiness. There are 10 ELP standards in all, covering reading, listening, speaking, writing, and language. In terms of the test itself, the STEPS Listening and STEPS Reading tests only assess students on those ELPS competencies that pertain to listening and reading. Ventures covers all the ELP standards in depth and integrates them into every level of the course. Here's Unit 8 from the Level 4 Students book. Let's look at Lesson A. Lesson A focuses on listening skills and features a series of activities that perfectly align with the ELP listening standards. ELP Standard 1 requires that students be able to understand what they hear. For upper-level students, this means being able to listen and understand the main idea, retell and answer questions about key details, understand how those specific details relate to the main idea, and summarize what they have heard. Notice how well the exercises in this lesson cover ELPS 1. In Exercise 2A, students listen to conversations and identify the speakers and what they are talking about. In Exercise 2B, students listen again and show their understanding of the details of the conversation by completing a chart. Then in Exercise 3, students use their analysis of what they've heard to complete a summary of the conversation. Now let's look at Lesson C, where another ELP standard is covered. Lessons B and C in Ventures are the grammar lessons. Here in Lesson C, we can see again that the activities perfectly align with the ELP standards. ELP Standard 2 is covered here. ELP Standard 2 requires students to be able to exchange information and ideas in various social and academic contexts in response to what others say. For upper-level students, this means being able to express their own ideas and respond to the ideas of others in conversation, and respond to questions by adding relevant additional information. Notice how the activities in this lesson do this. In exercise 2, students practice the grammar in the context of short conversational exchanges and then work together to describe photos. In exercise 3, groups of students work together to ask and answer questions about their own experiences, responding to questions by adding their own ideas. Now let's look at Lesson D, the reading lesson. There are 2 ELP standards covered in this lesson. Notice how Exercise 3A covers ELP Standard 1 again, this time for reading. Students first answer questions about the main idea of the reading, and then they answer more detailed questions. As befits the higher level of increased rigor of Students' Book 4, students are asked more analytical questions and asked to cite reasons for their answers. Exercise C, which follows, covers ELP Standard 2 again, focusing on reading this time. Students work with a partner to have conversations based on the reading around a series of questions, adding their own ideas, giving evidence for their opinions, and responding to the ideas of their partners. The College and Career Readiness section brings additional academic rigor to ventures and reinforces the ELP standards for reading. In Exercise 1, Check Your Understanding, students read and answer a series of questions of increasing complexity. First, students read and check their understanding of the main ideas and the key details as required by ELP Standard 1. Then they are asked to read and summarize, which is a requirement of ELP Standard 2. In Exercise 4, Analyze the Texts, students are asked to read, analyze, and compare 2 texts and cite textual evidence to support their analyses and opinions. This is one of the requirements of ELP Standard 6. In Exercise 2, Build Your Vocabulary, students develop their academic vocabulary, which is one of the requirements of ELP Standard 8. Another way Ventures aligns to STEPS is in its coverage of the CASAS competencies. STEPS is built on the CASAS competencies, and the good news is so is Ventures. The CASAS competencies have been woven into the Ventures syllabus and are covered in every lesson. Let's look at a sample unit and see how thoroughly Ventures covers the CASAS competencies in preparation for STEPS. Let's look at Unit 8 again. The title of Unit 8 is Work. Therefore, it's not surprising that the majority of the competencies covered in this unit have to do with the CASAS competencies in the area of employment. Lesson A introduces key vocabulary and practices listening skills. Students listen to 2 conversations about how to solve a workplace problem. In doing so, they cover the competency area of demonstrating effectiveness in working with other people. Lessons B and C present and practice the unit grammar. In Lesson C, the grammar focus is using adjectives ending in ed or ing to describe people and activities. These adjectives will be recycled in later lessons in work contexts. In this lesson, the competency being practiced here is understanding and using language to express emotions and states of being. Lesson D practices reading skills. Here, students read an article about hard and soft job skills and their impact on job retention. 2 competencies are addressed here. The initial reading comprehension questions in the After You Read section address the employment competency of identifying the behavior, attitudes, and other factors that affect job retention and advancement. Then, more complex reading tasks are introduced that address an additional, more communicative competency, using appropriate language to influence or persuade. The combination of these 2 competencies highlights Ventures' integrated skills approach to developing reading comprehension at the higher levels. Lesson F contains an additional reading with a life skills focus. Here, students read a chart showing employment changes across different industries. 2 more employment competencies are covered here: responding appropriately to common information questions and interpreting job-related charts and diagrams. The Grammar Connections section that follows introduces the workplace soft skill of making polite requests, which addresses the important competency understanding, following, and giving instructions, including polite requests. As you can see, Ventures covers the CASAS competencies in depth ensuring that students are learning the essential life skills they need to be functionally competent members of their community, their families, and the workforce. This unit is an example of how Ventures covers the employment competencies. Other units in this student's book cover additional competencies, such as basic communication, consumer economics, and health. We've seen examples of how Ventures aligns with STEPS in terms of what it covers, the ELP standards and the CASAS competencies. Now, let's take a look at how Ventures aligns with STEPS in terms of how the activities in Ventures prepare students for the experience of taking the test. Ventures is careful to shape the activities in the student's book so that they align with the CASAS content areas and task areas. Content areas are the kinds of activities that STEPS uses to assess students' listening or reading ability. These are vocabulary, identifying high-frequency words in pictures and in spoken or written texts; numbers, showing an understanding of time, prices, dates, etc. Main idea, identifying the main idea of something they hear or read; details, retelling the details about something they hear or read; and dialogue, listening to or reading a conversation and then supplying the next line. Task areas refers to the format of the individual test items and how they will appear on the STEPS test itself. Giving students opportunities to familiarize themselves with these task areas is vital to preparing them for STEPS. Again, these familiar tasks appear throughout Ventures. Reading task areas include forms, charts, articles, signs, product labels, and diagrams. Listening task areas include picture prompts, comprehension questions, predicting the next line of a dialogue, and identifying true statements. In other words, there are activities in Ventures that have been designed to look and feel like the ones the students will see on STEPS. This is crucial for preparing students for success on the test. Here are just a few examples of how closely the activities in Ventures mimic STEPS and how well Ventures prepares students for what they will see on the actual tests. Lesson A, Activity 2. This activity features picture prompts and comprehension questions, like the test items on the CASAS tests. Lesson C, Activities 2 and 3. Here, the activities use picture prompts and ask students to complete conversations like those on the tests. Lesson D, Activities 2, 3, and 4. Exercise 2 features an article similar to the ones that appear on STEPS. The comprehension questions in Exercise 3 follow the CASAS content areas, asking about the main idea of the text, locating and comparing details, and then inferring and drawing conclusions based on what they've read. This is what students will see on STEPS. Lesson F, Activity 1. This reading activity features a chart similar to the ones that will appear on STEPS reading. Students interact with the chart by answering questions about its content and meaning, something they will have to do on the test. So far, we've seen how Ventures prepares students for success on CASAS STEPS through its in-depth coverage of the English language proficiency standards in every unit, its correlation to the CASAS competencies in every lesson, and the inclusion of the CASAS content areas and task areas throughout. But there's one last point. In addition to preparing your students for success on the STEPS test, it's just as important to ensure that your students keep coming to class so they'll be there to take the post-test. That's why Ventures places such an emphasis on building a sense of community in class and boosting student engagement. Ventures is packed with community-building activities designed to increase engagement and spark personal interactions between teacher and student, between students in the classroom, and between students and their community. Ventures' communicative approach includes pair, group, and whole class communicative activities in every lesson of every unit. These build important soft skills, such as communication, teamwork, and interpersonal skills, while deepening relationships between students and their teachers. By developing these soft skills in context, students get to see themselves succeeding in their interactions around activities that resonate with their own personal goals and challenges. Ventures' careful language control, scaffolding, and clear design give students the support and confidence they need. This leads to increased levels of motivation and participation, facilitating student learning, student engagement, and ultimately, student retention. Communicative, community-building supplementary speaking activities are available as teacher resources to add variety and help teachers keep things fresh. There are collaborative worksheets for each lesson to develop cooperative learning and community building within the classroom. There can be pair work, group work, or whole class activities, and they provide a fresh way for students to reinforce what they've just learned. Multi-level worksheets are designed for use in multi-level classrooms, where the proficiency level of the students differs. These offer additional practice of the language and unit topic, taking the learning off the page and into the classroom through a variety of fun pair work, group work, and whole class activities. Project worksheets, one per unit, give students the opportunity to work together with classmates on projects related to the unit topic. Because Ventures so thoroughly integrates the ELP standards and covers the CASAS competencies, you can have confidence that your students will be learning the English they need to succeed academically, move ahead in their careers, and participate fully in their community, all while preparing for success on STEPS. And because every lesson of Ventures invites students to engage in real communication around topics they care about, have fun, and build community as they learn, you can be confident that your students will want to stick around for that all-important post-test. To download the correlation showing how Ventures is aligned to the ELP standards and CASAS competencies in every lesson, go to cambridge.org/ventures/CASAS/correlation. To get in touch with your local Cambridge representative, go to cambridge.org/ventures/contact.